Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the December 5th, 2023 meeting of the Litchfield Planning Board. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Start with the roll call of members this evening. Michael Croto, Chair. And I guess we can start with you, Jared, if you want.
Jared O'Connell, member.
Sam Terrell, member.
Kimberly Queen and Selectman's Rep.
Jeremy Robitaille, member.
Kate Stevens, who's our vice chair, is not present this evening. She had a conflict, so she will not be here. Also, this evening is absent is Jay Mankara, who is our circuit rider for NRPC, although I did speak with him on the phone this afternoon. And with us, Joan McKibben, our planning board administrator. Welcome. First item on the agenda this evening is public input on non-agenda items, items not scheduled on the agenda for this evening. Is there any members of the public that wish to comment on non-agenda items?
No, you're not.
You're not on the agenda.
If you guys want to come forward, or, I mean, however you're comfortable, usually the microphones can pick you up. If you're at the table, it's probably a little easier. Just state your name and address for the record.
Marion Colby, 318 Charles Bancroft Highway.
Good evening.
Heritage Commission Chairman.
Stephen Calloway, 168 Charles Bancroft Highway, Heritage Commission member and Historical Society president.
Gail Barringer, member of the Historical Society and the Historic Commission.
Okay, well, welcome.
Thank you.
So, it is public comment, so you guys have the floor.
Well, we're concerned about the notice that we got from Mr. Blackwell, building inspector, that there has been a application submitted at the Dark Hall project for demolition of the house, 540 Charles Bancroft Highway. We reported back to Mr. Blackwell that we find the house to be historically, architecturally, and culturally significant, and we want to come up with alternative plans for other than demolition of the house. It was our understanding that when that project was approved, that he said he was going to turn that house into a duplex and keep the old house. I wrote to Jay Mankara, I wrote to the board today, including, cited you and the rest of the board, and explained the issue, and I said that, wanting to know if there's anything the planning board can do, or are they gonna weigh in on it, and Jay got back to me and said that indeed the project was approved with that as one of the parts of the site plan, and that if he wanted to change that, he would have to come back to the planning board and submit an amended plan and be approved for that before he could go forward. My thought on that would then be that the application should be denied, and then he could reapply once he gets the site plan approved again by the planning board. Mr. Blackwell said, no, we have to continue to go forward with this and hold the public hearing, and that's what we're here about. We're concerned that we don't have.
Because that doesn't make any sense.
Right, if
a
he
new
goes
plan
ahead and
has to
he,
be submitted,
I mean, we
then
can't.
there can't be any determination whether the house should be demolished or saved.
Right.
At this point.
Okay.
We don't have authority to tell him he can't demolish the house, but if we hold a hearing and we say we don't want it, but if he still wants it, he can demolish it. And if he demolishes it and then comes before you guys and you say, no, we're not gonna approve it with the house demolished, well, what can you do at that point? He's already torn the house down, so I don't think approval should be given. I don't think his plan should be considered until it's actually a plan that has been approved by the planning board.
Okay. My understanding is that there was an ordinance put in place about demolition at the Heritage Commission?
Yeah, it's 1040.
Right here.
Can you go to the website? If you go, for the people at home, because we're not
Once
connected.
someone applies for demolition,
Well, we can see it online.
then the building inspector informs the Heritage Commission. If the building is possibly of historic, architectural, or cultural significance to the town, if the building is more than 60 years old, I believe.
Yeah, we'll call up the flow
Okay.
chart, remember that? So, yeah, so the building inspector, code enforcement officers supposed to, and fire department's supposed to see if it's structurally sound.
They said it is structurally
And
sound.
then if it is, it goes over to the Heritage Commission and that process starts.
Right.
So the
Right.
question
And then we
is,
have from the time that we that we get back to the building inspector and the owner is notified, we have 15 days to hold a hearing. We're well within our 15 days for our public hearing.
so for people at home, if you go to the town website, go to planning, and then halfway down, you'll see the ordinance, the actual 1040 ordinance, and the flow chart, go to page 2.
Or if you go to Heritage
It's all from
Commission,
Heritage.
it's on the
On the
Heritage
Heritage
Commission,
Commission, I'm
yeah.
sorry. I misspoke.
It shows the
Yeah.
demolition process flow chart.
Right, the
And
flow
ordinance.
chart, right.
Yep.
So my understanding is that there isn't been an application submitted, is that
Yes.
my understanding?
That's right.
Okay,
So there was a demolition permit.
okay.
No,
Well, the
there's been no
application was put in, but then we're
Okay.
following the procedure, and we're at the point where we responded to Mr. Blackwell and told him we found the house to be significant in all three ways,
Okay.
culturally, historically, and architecturally. I mean, it was a house that was built in 1755. It is one of the oldest structures in the town. Stephen can talk a little bit to the history of the house and why it is so historically significant.
Before you do that, I'd like to back up a bit. I'm an ancestor of the Corning family. And in fact, my great-grandmother went and stayed there during the flood of 1936 because Century Farm was completely flooded, at least up to 4 feet in the house. So I have a family connection, but more importantly than that, I am very dedicated to what's going on in the town, and I watch the town meetings. I went back and looked at 222, 322, 422, and 522 planning board meetings, and at every meeting, when it comes to the Corning House, the open remarks address the fact that the existing house will be converted into a two-family unit. And as I watched the meetings, particularly March, April, and May, I was taken back by the fact that members of the planning board talked about the house being in terrible shape. It should be demolished. It had no historical value, and that's leapfrogging, in my estimation, over the Heritage Commission and our right to have a hearing, hear from the public, and to state why we think the building is culturally and historically significant. So, as a citizen, a lifelong resident of Litchfield, those are my comments. I support the planning board. I watch your meetings. I know what you're doing. I know what a hard job you have. But I think that perhaps you should have called a halt to the remarks of some members about the building didn't have any worth, it should be torn down, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you.
Okay. So,
But I think you wanted to know.
did you want to?
Well, go ahead, Mike.
No, please. I mean, this is public
Well, in
comment.
case people are listening, they might want to know the history of the house, that's
Right.
my
Okay,
thought.
well, the property that house is on was originally 200 acres. It went from the river to the town of Londonderry. It was carved out of Chief Passaconaway's 1662 grant from the Massachusetts Bay Colony. After Passaconaway had died, the land was then divided up, and that portion belonged to Colonel Ting of Tingsboro, Massachusetts. He was granted that piece. He sold it to a man by the name of Captain Samuel Cochran, who was an early settler in the town. He was here in the 1730s. And it was purchased from him by the Cornings. His daughter, Captain Cochran's daughter, had married Samuel Corning. And so he purchased this land from his father-in-law. They constructed a house. And it remained in the Corning family until the late 1940s. And it was then sold to Makowitz family of Manchester. They then sold it to the Randall family. And this were all dairy operations. They were the great cow herd. The Cornings had one, and it continued down until the Dubois family bought it. And then they established the horse farm.
So, I mean, unfortunately, we don't, I think what we have to do is, I don't know if there's any, in terms of documentation for this as being an historic piece of property. Is there been like a appraisal or anything on record?
Well,
Writing?
yes, actually about 1983,
Okay.
a survey was done of the town and its properties. And this is one of the properties in the survey, historic survey.
Okay. So, if there's any, obviously, the Heritage Commission has their process, and the Planning Board has its process. The applicant, obviously filed, an application for demolition. That is gonna have to go before the Heritage Commission at some point. But also, the Planning Board has the authority, under the statute, if there is going to be a change, a significant, it sounds like that's a significant change to a site plan, to have it amended, the applicant would have to come forward and have it amended by the Planning Board. So, unfortunately, the applicant is not here this evening. So what I would probably say is that I believe they're coming in, are they coming in the 19th?
That's for a different,
A different, but it's the same developer, correct?
right.
Okay. Those folks are coming in on the 19th, unless we wanted to schedule something down the road.
Well,
But he's gonna have to file a site plan
File an amendment,
application.
right.
And unfortunately, I don't have that, we don't have an application in front of us to approve. So at this time, I don't think there's much that the developer is gonna be able to do until he comes before the planning board with an official site plan. And we review it and have the authority to review it and make a determination. If that were to come to fruition, obviously the applicant is gonna have to make a case for the demolition. But I think you folks would probably need to, be at that meeting, basically to say, in your position, as the Historical Society, that there's documentation to support, that this is a structurally sound building. And so I think what has to happen right now is that we have to wait and see what happens. But I'm not inclined to do anything until we receive an application from the builder, and we haven't had that yet, so there's not much I
So
can do.
I just want to understand here too.
Yep.
Two processes. One's the planning
Right.
board, one's
One's heritage.
heritage. So one's preempting the other, right, from what you're saying?
Mhm.
So, you can't, and I want to be corrected if I'm wrong. He had, my recollection, I won't speak for everybody, that White House was supposed to be 2 units.
Right.
Yes,
That was
So-
my understanding.
at every meeting.
And I'm not gonna put words in his mouth, but usually these drawings are expensive, and he put the house there. And then he went to DOT about the turning lane and left the house there.
Historical Society was told the same information.
Right. So to me, he made, I don't want to say a contract, but was that one of the conditional? I didn't see the meetings, you did? Because we just found out about it this afternoon.
Every meeting of your group starts with, there will be 66 townhouses, and the existing building
existing
will
building
be
would
made
remain.
into 2 apartments.
So that's the contract he has with the town.
Well,
he's
that
making
was
that.
not a condition of approval. The condition of approval was 66 units, not that the house would stay.
No, because
The
2
house
units
can't-
were supposed to be in the house.
Right, right. But the house
now he's
can't come
removing the
down
number of
until it
occupants.
comes
Yeah, and I
back
think
in here.
the real issue, I think the issue is that the developer has to file something, an application to come before the planning board.
Before
to
the house comes down.
Amend that process, if they're looking to amend that process. So technically, right now, it can't be torn down unless we
Right.
amend that site plan and say,
Okay.
well, you need to change things and have the board vote to do that.
So you're
And we
saying
agree
that
with
has
you.
to happen
We
first.
agree.
We
But-
just wanted to
Then
clarify that because Mr. Blackwell was under the impression that the Heritage Commission's part of it should go forward. And we said no, because he's gonna change his plan first.
Yeah, well, I
He
think-
wasn't in a position where he could even apply to demolish the house because demolishing it would change his site plan, would change the parameters of the project.
But
So
the
fact
owners
that-
did say at your May 2022 meeting that the house should be demolished, and they were leapfrogging over the Heritage Commission and the town ordinance.
Okay. Well, if for some reason the developer decides that he wants to bring an application to amend, which I think he should,
Yes.
then I think what would be recommended is that you folks would be here to, state your case.
Sure.
And they're gonna state their case, and we'll have to make a decision.
But Michael, in the meantime, before Kim Kleiner went on vacation, she scheduled our public hearing for the 14th
Okay.
of December. So if we go forward, because Mr. Blackwell says that we need to go forward, then the public hearing would have already been held, and the thing would be over before they even come before you on the
There's
19th.
two public hearings, though. There's yours, and then there's a planning board public hearing. So you
No, no,
can
no.
go ahead.
But
No,
we
but
can't
if
go
we-
first.
but
The
it-
planning board has to
Perhaps-
change the plan
We
first.
would be
One more.
commenting on something that isn't even part of an approved plan.
The
at
plan
that
has to
point.
be amended,
He
Jeff.
wasn't
But
even,
they applied for a demolition permit. So
Yes.
you
Yeah.
can go ahead with that process.
but he
No, we
wasn't even
can't.
in a position to apply for a demolition permit if part of his approved plan shows the house
Was
being
the house
there.
there?
So how can he say he's gonna tear it down? Now, all of a sudden, if he tears it down, he has a plan that
Well,
isn't approved.
I
I mean, he's
think-
going forward with a plan that hasn't been approved by,
Perhaps what may have to happen.
why can't we
then-
just put the hold on the permit application until after this is solved?
That,
So
I mean,
hold on
the
the demo
other
permit.
board can make that determination if they wanna stay it until he's come before the planning board.
Well,
They can't.
but we can't
That-
do
That
that
process doesn't do that.
Okay.
because we don't have that in
We
our
don't have that
flow
authority.
chart. And
Yeah,
Mr.
it's not
Blackwell
in that
wants to go
process.
forward, so.
And when you said they have to show up, they should, if you can.
Yeah, we will.
But it's not the case to say whether it's historic or not, that's your Heritage Commission meeting.
Right.
But you're here to, give it high level that it would be, right? They're not here to decide if it's historical or not the day of the planning board, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a piece that maybe needs to be addressed in the future.
Yeah, but no one ever expected a demolition permit to go smack into the middle of that.
Right. And that's typically,
Right.
what happens, unfortunately. But, unfortunately. But again, there's not much until I get an application before the board, I don't know what the Heritage Commission
I
is gonna do.
have to ask a fair question, it's not nice. Is this open us up to a legal lawsuit with that
Well-
owner?
No, he's the one that's changing the plan.
Okay, that's okay, then we
It's a
can,
partial change.
right.
But
But-
that's planning board process.
He legally accepted the plan you
Oh,
approved.
I agree, I agree to that. So
Now he is changing the rule.
Right, but again, the process is, there's a demolition permit out there now that has started. Yeah,
And
so,
we're asking, do we need to hold the hearing on the 14th?
No, of course not. We can't
I mean, it
preempt
can
the
probably
hearing.
be scheduled, rescheduled.
We need to put it on
although
hold
we
until
have
the
to
planning
stop
board
that
has made a
process there.
decision.
Well, until he applies.
I think we
Yes.
need to get
Yeah,
our,
plan
we need to get
alteration.
our legal
Thank
involved
you.
on how
So
to
that
do
comes
that.
before us, you guys really shouldn't do
Right,
anything.
we don't have
Yeah.
any authority to do anything.
So,
If we can issue a hold on the demo permit, that'd be fantastic.
but I
Make
have
sure
to
it
run it
happens.
so I'm gonna talk to the Board of Selectmen.
Michael?
Can I
Yes, Mr. Blackwell, I'm sorry.
Jeff Blackwell, Code Enforcement Officer, Building Inspector.
Oops, sorry.
I have no intention of issuing a demolition permit
Okay.
until the planning board is satisfied and gives me the go-ahead. So that should be,
Yeah.
that was aside. I was never trying to imply that I was gonna go ahead and issue one based on
Oh, no, no,
just
no.
the procedures from, as dictated in the zoning ordinance for the demolition review.
Right.
In the
No, we
So
all
it-
understand that.
They're
It's not in the
two
zoning
separate
ordinance.
things, so, but there will be no permit issued until both procedures are complied with, and that happens to be the end result,
Good,
Excellent.
good.
so.
Okay, I guess that's
So
the,
that solves it.
So, yeah, so just cancel your meeting and wait till we
Cancel your meeting.
cancel that meeting.
No, can I just make one more
Well, there's
thing?
no point in doing
Well,
it.
please understand it, there's a difference here, what we're talking about.
Right.
The meeting is not going to be, okay, go ahead and demo, or don't demo. That's not what the purpose of that meeting is about.
Right.
purpose of the meeting is for public information.
Right.
Right, we're trying, part of what I believe the Heritage Commission is trying to do, correct me if I'm wrong, is try to take input from the public to see what options, what alternatives, other means that we have in order to be able to save the house from being
Right.
demolished.
And to make the public
Right.
aware of its cultural,
Right.
historic
So having a meeting
significance.
now, I don't see as causing any harm. If the whole process is delayed further, because planning board approval is not in place,
See
Then-
the four green ones at the
yes,
bottom?
that gives more time
The four options that come
for
up.
further review and further options and whatnot. So, that's kinda how we're looking at it right now. We're gonna continue to look at it further, as we go through, but that's kinda where we're at right now.
Okay, thank you. So I guess that gives you a little bit more
We're gonna wait
Space.
for you.
assurance, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I thank you all for coming in, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
and,
You're welcome.
um,
Thanks for your time.
Thank you
No
for
problem.
hearing us out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Enjoy watching you all on television.
She's the one.
Wow. Get long, Blake.
Thank you.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Heritage should go ahead. Makes sense.
So moving on, the first item this evening is a public hearing on zoning ordinance, section 504, home occupations, to provide clearer standards for all home occupations, to distinguish between home occupations that require planning board approval, and to provide specific standards of family and adult daycare. So we are, this is a public hearing this evening, and I'm opening it up to anybody who has public comment. I know the board had an opportunity to review the changes that Jay made to this. We have gone over this several times. And if there's any changes that you would like to make tonight, we can put it to a second public hearing at the beginning of January. So, I don't know if anybody has anything that they want to talk about. I think we have done about a lengthy discussion about some of the changes that were made. But if anybody has anything, I guess, or if there's anyone from the public who has any information, now is the time to speak.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that what I'm reading, I didn't see anything really wrong. I just want to make sure one scenario is covered. 50403, once I can get there, did it open? Oh, I can't reach this page. Give me a second, I'm gonna reload it. It says, let me go to 5. Let's see, that's.
Page 4.
All right, I'm scrolling down, we had a lot here. Where'd it go? One second.
little higher.
Is it the first one or the second one? Hold on, that's Jay's.
Page
It's not the
2.
10-page, it's the 5-page one, right? Okay. 50403.
Yep.
I liked it, not limited to residents, because then it got into the part out of it. It was number 4. Let me just, it's still loading on my screen here.
So number 4 on 504.03.
Yeah, it's still loading, sorry.
Exterior storage of materials
Yep.
and equipment must be screened from public view.
The only thing I was concerned about was, we did mention vehicles. See, I can't find the page for me. It's not a problem. Okay. Number 4 says exterior storage of materials and equipment must be screened from the public view. And I'm okay with that. But the one thing we did talk about was somebody who had an 18-wheeler for a job. So if you look for the word vehicles in here, it's okay. But as long as that, because sometimes you can't hide an 18-wheeler is my point. So I don't know how we could word that. Like, I know of a couple of people who do have them kind of on their side yard. They can't screen it. It's just, right?
Yeah.
So I want to make sure they're covered and they don't have to go get a variance for that.
You have the line 5, business-related vehicles cannot exceed a gross weight of 20,000 pounds. So.
Right.
I'm not sure the weight of an 18.
Yeah, but Jay went through a calculation on the weight of those big trucks, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was okay if you drove an 18-wheeler, like say you do your route and you go home,
Right.
and you have an 18-wheeler on the side of your house.
But all it says here is it requires approval. So it doesn't say. you
What
can't
is it,
be
what
allowed.
number is it? Because
Number
it's not
5.
calling up.
Right
a-
below-
Yeah, it
right
would be
below what
for
you read.
requiring planning board
Let me see.
approval.
So yeah, they would require approval,
It
right?
doesn't deny it, it's just.
Can you look for the word vehicles
If
in
they
there?
go for home
They talked
occupation.
about vehicles twice, I just want to make sure they're covered. There is no increased traffic, and, yeah, that's the freight. Documentation. Everything else I liked, I just want to make sure that, because I see a few people in town who do this for a living, that don't have to shield the truck.
Right.
You know, they have to get in and out, you know, there can't be trees, it's gotta be, right.
Okay.
Everything, like I said, everything else looked good. Exterior materials. £26,000, it seemed like they were still okay. Maybe not fire trucks, I don't think are.
'Cause I thought we had a discussion about that, and
I think he went to the weight, I do remember the weight of the truck. Again, I'm just worried about material, the word equipment, I don't know if they wanna say and vehicles, they didn't have vehicles there, right? It didn't say vehicles had to be scanned from the public, so maybe they're okay there. It says storage
because it's
of
not-
materials and
it's just
equipment.
Storage materials and equipment doesn't.
I was thinking equipment was the truck.
Yeah.
Well,
So they're not saying vehicles explicitly. So
That's not what I understand.
as long as equipment does not mean truck, is that how everyone's interpreting that?
Yeah.
That's what I would interpret, yeah.
That's what I was-
I'd
yeah.
call a truck under
I
vehicle,
would agree.
You would call a truck a vehicle?
Yeah.
Not equipment?
not equipment, no.
Is that how you're interpreting that? Exterior storage of materials and equipment.
Yeah.
All right. Then I'm okay if you think,
So what about like construction vehicles? Is that equipment or is that vehicle?
Okay, semi-trucks can
If
weigh
it drives on the
between,
road, it'd be a vehicle. If it doesn't
What'd
go
you
on the
say,
road, it'd be equipment.
semi-trucks can weigh between 10 and 25,000 pounds. Tractor trailers typically weigh around 80,000 pounds when fully loaded. If empty, 35,000 pounds.
so this is prohibiting, it. So business-related vehicles cannot exceed a gross vehicle weight. So that's,
26,000.
Her number includes the trailer, by the way, 80,000 pounds.
yeah, but
Yeah.
how much is that? You said how much is it empty?
35.
That's an empty truck with no trailer?
No, that's if the trailer is empty,
Right.
It's 35,000?
35,000.
Well,
The
this is
trailer's
giving
there,
it a weight limit of 26,000 pounds, so they can't have the truck.
We-
They can't
We've
park
always-
the trailer.
The trailer and the truck.
Trailer,
Seated vehicle weight.
You know how they have the cab plus the big truck?
Yeah,
It's
we-
empty. So I just wanna make sure,
we've always had, not had those as home occupations. We had one on 3A one time that they prohibited because, backing them in off 3A is,
Yeah, oh, good.
but I see some back in. I see two, I know of two I see on,
but
three.
they don't have a home occupation that I know of,
What do
so-
they do? It's just their
They're
work
just
truck?
there.
It's their work truck?
I guess, I don't know.
I'm just trying to think of some like moving van company,
But it is, I mean, we just say it's business related, so it can't be.
Business-related vehicle cannot exceed the gross
Business-related.
weight. I think this one's gonna have to be revisited.
Okay.
Again, if you are a company of two and you're a moving company, that's your truck, right?
But if you're in a residential district, do you really want to?
You can run it out of a
18-wheeler?
bedroom, a home office, right? You just go to the site and you come home, that's all.
Even if you're a private truck and you just drive other people's trailers around, that's still a home business.
No, say you own the truck,
Correct.
so-and-so and son moving company. You run it out of your house.
So yeah, the vehicles like the ones that you rent for moving, those are likely less than the limit here. And if you really need a semi truck that requires a commercial driver's license, then it might make sense to require some off-site storage of that.
Right.
So this is not, I hear what you're saying, this is not boldface, so this looks like it's the existing ordinance, 26,000, am I reading that right?
No, that's not in the existing ordinance.
So,
It is
'cause
boldface.
usually he boldface
It
things
is,
that
it
are,
is bold-faced.
Yeah, it's both.
yeah, but the 26,000 pounds is boldface?
Yeah.
Why? Does that look boldface on your printout?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
God, I need another set. That is not bold, I would bet my life that's not
Yeah,
bold.
the whole line is
Knowing you
bold.
all.
Yeah.
I can't hit people on camera, right? All right, afterwards, okay, so, yeah, again, this one I think is gonna come back. It may come back. I'm just trying to protect people who make a living that way. It's a hard way to make a living, right? All right, so you're saying if they work for another company and it's the company truck, they can park it at their home. But if it's a home occupancy,
If it
if
has
it's
to
a,
relate
if
to
it's a home
occupation.
occupation, they're running
Well,
it
they
out of
have
their
to come for
house,
home occupation, which I know are.
then they're gonna
out
get
there.
rejected because of the 26,000, but they can go get a variance. Can they get a variance?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
As long as they have a
Zoning.
way out.
Yeah, there's a remedy.
There's a remedy.
There's a remedy.
Right.
That's my,
Those situations, we can probably look at the site, see if it
yeah, I
has
don't, right.
something that
Yeah.
we
I hope
believe
they can
would.
shield it, but if they can't,
Yep.
All right, as long as they have a remedy, the truck is
Yeah, it's zoning, so you
28,000
should get a
pounds,
variance. You could
they can
get
get a variance, right? All right, so occupancy, and I thought kennels was sad to go, but I get it. okay, so kennels were no on the last page, 50406, and I get it, because you don't want to have the barking all weekend. I get the home occupant, you know, the neighbor has a kennel going over there. Doggy daycare, we never talked about that, though. We have a lot of people who do that, not a lot, but a few in town, but doesn't seem to be an ordinance for that, but that's,
Yeah, definition wise, how would that
I don't think they
change?
have to go in front of the planning board, right?
Like, how would that be different from a kennel
Kennel, you
definition?
store 'em, like, over the
Because
weekend,
They
and-
might take the dog out,
They stay overnight,
walk.
yeah.
They're not kenneled there.
Like we have Fur and Feathers up on 102, they
That's
have a
okay.
kennel in the back,
Yeah.
but they're in the business zone.
That's
right?
what it is.
So I guess we were not stringent, people can do doggy daycare, I think, so, all right. Do they have to do this? 50408 and 50409, it seemed like Jay was putting in the date of March 2024.
Right.
I just want to make sure, they said basically, I hear you want your copy back?
No, I'm.
Are you looking at it? Because I can't. Let me go to 508, it's all out of order. I just want to make sure, it sounds like if you had like a, I don't want to say strange business, what were they calling that weird business already?
Existing non-conforming home.
Non-conforming business, and what's 50409?
Is existing illegal home occupations.
Existingly illegal? So then they-
Existing illegal.
Illegal.
So they were supposed to have this done, it sounds like if they don't, is it, the way I'm reading it, sounds like if this passes, they have a certain time to come forward. Am I reading that properly?
Well, it says home occupations that require planning board approval under section 504.03 of this ordinance, commencing operations after March 12th, 2024, that have not received a permit from the planning board shall apply to the planning board for a home occupation permit by March 12th, 2024.
I just want to make sure the dates make sense, so we're not, it's like, were they already approved prior to that and they have to do something? If you weren't approved prior to this passing?
Well,
I wanna make sure I
They both
understand
call
that.
it existing, so it'd be not approved, but already in.
So the wording is a little off, right? Am I reading that
I think
right?
that's a
it
little
makes
off.
sense.
Does it make sense?
Yeah.
God, I'm having a bad night.
No, it says.
I just wrote, do they have to do this now or prior to March 2024?
Something doesn't make sense here. If
See,
you're
okay.
commencing operation after March 12th, 2024, then you need to apply to the planning board by March 12th,
See?
2024.
That's what I'm saying, they don't have a window. Am I reading that?
I think that one line messes up then, yes.
So we can still approve it if modified, right, if we modify that line. I want to make sure both of those
Yeah,
sections.
one of those dates needs to change.
One of those sections didn't make, actually, what did I say, what two sections?
50408 is okay.
50408, okay, and
Yeah, that one's
50409.
I'm looking at 09, yeah.
Right, 09.
So 9 is wrong? And which business was that? Because I just wrote numbers here thinking I had.
So existing illegal home occupations. So the first line is contradictory.
So it's
Yeah.
illegal because once these go into effect, it'll be,
You'd have no time, right?
all right.
The first line has to be adjusted.
All right,
Just one of
so
those dates has to
I
change.
can't, so we have to, so if we do approve these tonight, we just have to say as amended, right?
No, you have to.
Oh, we have to have
hearing.
another
We're gonna
hearing?
have another public hearing, because
Okay.
we're gonna make changes.
All right, well, that's one of my questions then. So you're thinking 50409 has a well, it looks like consensus. I'm sorry,
Well,
this is
there's,
not.
yeah,
the
there's
right
no
order.
window.
Why can't I get at my?
Right.
I have the agenda came up. I'm trying to look at I read them at work, not a problem. See, I
You
told
probably
you
have
I
to
read 'em.
change the middle March 12th date to a
Right.
later date.
Yeah.
Give it another 3 to 6 months, whatever it is.
So again, I just said, it looked like you had no time to,
Correct.
no window.
Yeah, and the way it's worded also, it just says home occupations, not existing illegal home occupations. It says it before that, but
The
It's a separate
last Two
sentence.
dates need to change.
All right, so we're saying 50408 has to be looked at and 50409.
No, 08's okay.
08 looks good.
08 is
08 's
good,
okay.
okay, so
09
09
needs to change.
to fix.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
And then okay, so that's fine. And, all right. So that's all I had on ordinances, but I don't know if anybody else saw
Do you
anything.
have anything else? Change or observations?
If you look at 50402, home occupations permitted by right. Number 3, the home occupation has no employees other than the residents of the dwelling. I thought we talked about maybe allowing one.
That's the one below it. With planning board approval, you could have two non-family
Two,
members.
Up to two non-family
Okay.
employees are permitted on the premises.
Yeah, because at that point you end up with like extra traffic coming in, so it changes the, yeah, and parking, it changes the, impact to the community.
Okay, that's reasonable.
So home occupations by right, do they still
What
need
you
a
could
permit?
do in 50403, you're talking, well, you were talking about the vehicle stuff. So exterior storage of materials and equipment, or put some kind of language in there, not in, but, with the exception of vehicles or something,
That was my, again, I'm trying to protect somebody.
must be
running away.
screened from public view.
It's a tough living, you know?
Yeah, we would have to define the word equipment.
Right.
Yeah, we,
Or,
You
okay,
would have to
we
make
could add in and registered vehicles, something like that.
Yeah.
So you don't have just, broken down cars or trucks laying all over the place.
Or screening for vehicles if, I don't wanna say it can be done, but that kind of thing. Usually they back them in, right? So they're facing out, like Joan said, right?
So, yeah, so you could do something like that. I mean, exterior storage materials and equipment other than,
That's all how you do it.
Not to include road vehicles.
not to include, yeah. Or some kind of language that you would have to,
Do we just need
tweak it.
clarity from Jay on that, or do you want to do clarity, or
Well, I think we can ask Jay, see if he can put something in there.
50403, number what?
It's
Four.
4.
4.
Yeah,
And
A4.
we'll see where we got 5. Okay, and just see about delineating, just making the vehicles separate, delineating the vehicles from screening, right?
Just clarifying 4 to not require vehicles.
So that at least that makes it clear that it isn't, you're not talking about, when you're talking about equipment and materials, it's not.
Yeah, because you can have a small vehicle run your business, right? You
Yeah,
don't
if
have to have the big
flatbed
18
truck, You're
wheeler.
not gonna be screening it from.
That's what I
public
mean,
view,
you're
yeah.
forcing them to screen it, but then you might have, you're a copying company. You got a Xerox machine, and they have smaller cars, right? Or pest control, or whatever they do, right?
Whatever.
So they, yeah. All right, so we just have to delineate the vehicles, find a better way for that, right? About when it comes to screening, right?
yeah. Should we clarify that it's like registered vehicles?
Yeah.
Because if they have unregistered vehicles sitting there,
Right.
that's more like
Probably not a
materials, and that
That's a
would be.
violation.
a-
That'd be a violation under the other objects area.
Yeah, the other normal, yeah.
So, yeah, it would be registered.
Yeah, then they'll leave all the unregistered ones. Then they get that's another violation. All right, so that's good. So, see, you thought I was crazy, now you're buying into it. Sometimes you have to look at it for a while. It doesn't look, yeah, I just look at it, doesn't look right, yeah.
Anything else? So I guess with those changes, I guess we can submit them to Jay and have him take a look at it. And then what we can do is schedule this for another public hearing. Probably, what's the first meeting in January?
That would be. January 5th?
January 5th? So
Fifth?
that'll-
Oh, wait a minute, that's December. Wait, sorry. January 2nd.
January 2nd, after the new
If
year.
that's what you want, if you want to do January 2nd.
Okay. Anybody have any objection to that?
See why not? No.
Okay. All right, so, with that,
I'm
you
just-
have an objection?
No, but going back to the bold-face line, you know why it looks different? Because I put my camera, I put the phone on camera and I zoom in, it's a different font. That's why it looks like it's not real.
Okay, now that we got
Moving
that
on.
straightened out. So I guess I would entertain a motion to move this to a second public hearing on January 2nd,
So moved.
2024.
I'll make the motion to move that to January
Okay.
2nd.
This is on the
For
home
home
occupation.
occupancy.
Yeah, on the home occupations, for these proposed zoning amendments. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion to move this to a second public hearing, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstained, motion passes 5-0-0. Okay. Thank you. Next one, public hearing number 2. We're opening up public hearing tonight on floodplain conservation district, section 1100.00, changes due to review by the New Hampshire Office of Planning and Development. This is a public hearing on this particular ordinance in the zoning. And I know we did talk about this. Is there any questions about this one? And I'm opening it up to members of the public.
I have a hard copy if anybody needs it.
I did have a question.
Okay.
And anybody else want to go first? All right. Why do I gotta read my notes here. That's all right. It seems like, it might be a J question, he replaced the 100-year floodplain elevation with base flood elevation
Okay, first of
everywhere.
all, this wasn't Jay, this came from the Office of State Planning,
Okay, good, okay. Office of,
Planning and Development.
is that a New Hampshire? I'm sorry.
Yeah, New Hampshire Office
Office
of
of
Planning
Planning and
and
Development. Okay, so that's why he did that. I just wanted to make sure on the
What section are
terms.
you on?
Page 6, 1105, section 1005. 1105. I think maybe he was doing it early, but I was starting to see the pattern there.
Yeah, mostly they change a lot of reference points on this document. Was the big thing.
It's probably just to keep it in line with the wording
Yep.
of the flood insurance and state documentation for this.
Yep. I think that's right. All right, he removed on page 7. I put down for National Flood Insurance paper was removed, that's okay. Final report was okay. I guess what I was thinking, it actually might have helped the town. Talked to somebody who worked for FEMA, mentioned that our school was in the 500-year floodplain, not the 100-year floodplain. So I didn't know if this was too low at 100 and really saying 500, you know, that's in our favor. That's why I'm questioning it. But Jay put in 100, you know, seemed to be replacing 100-year with whatever the state now is calling base flood elevation. All right, so I guess I was just asking Jay why he did that. So if it came from the state and he's just getting our laws current,
So it looks like, I mean, the changes are to 1101.01 section, where it says base flood elevation, that to mean the elevation of a surface water resulting from the base flood. Looks like they removed the 1101.03 breakaway wall, took that out.
Yeah, and it references the base flood, which is still talking about 1% probability. So it's basically still the 100-year
100-year,
flood.
yeah.
So, but it's not, but it's being defined different, or it's just a different name, and also probably changes the way people think about it because it can be deceiving.
in the school's favor, it really is 500. That's good, because 100
Yeah, like
hurts
the,
them. That's all I was trying to
yeah, the
think.
sections that
I
are like
wanted
the
them to be
100,
safer.
the areas that are like the 100-year floods are like the really low farmland, the golf course off of 3A.
Yep.
Those are 100-year floodplains.
Yep. All right, so FEMA, on 1100 point, I think it says 01, they keep referencing FEMA 2009. I didn't know if there's something more current than 2009. I just don't know why. If you look at some of these dates, you're like, have they upgraded their
Just like I
plan
said, they're the
since
ones that changed.
2009? I thought I put
1101 dot what?
1100, I think I said point 11.
11?
I don't know, I'm trying to think where I saw
I
it.
don't see it there.
Look for the word, look for 2009, look for 2009. Maybe it's 01.
Front page.
I just didn't know if there was something recent than 2009 that they're, or over here, 1998, you know. I guess that's mean sea level, that's not gonna change, 1988.
Is it highlighted, Kim, or is
Did-
it
Can you,
just
can you
over?
find 2009? It was a PDF, so it's searching, if you don't have the Adobe stuff, but
Yeah.
it wasn't a Word doc, right?
It's scanned, so
Yeah,
it-
all right, let me find it. Can anybody see 2009 in there?
Searching.
I'm in the 1100 section.
Under purpose and authority is 2009.
Did you say 2009, Joe?
Under, the first page under purpose and authority. But that was already there.
Yeah, I just didn't, it wasn't that he changed it to 2009, I just didn't know if we had a more recent one that they just weren't referencing.
Yeah, the study is from 2009.
Hello, he's back. Yeah, I saw 2009 somewhere, I'll have to see, maybe if I hit the
Well-
download button.
All regulations apply all water designated as a special flood hazard area by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, flood insurance study.
1929.
Dated September 25th, 2009, or as amended.
What number is that? What's that?
This is the first, under purpose and authority,
What number, 1100?
1100.01.
So I was
third-
right, 11.01. The third one down?
Yeah.
I'm messing up your
Third
pile.
paragraph, yeah.
All right, so again, I'm just saying unless that's what the state is doing. Is it new or was it already there?
It says amended May 2029 by Selectmen's Resolution.
2000 and what?
2009.
2009, Selectmen's Resolution.
So I mean, is FEMA, I mean, that's how many years old? I don't know. I just didn't, is it bold-faced? Is that in bold? Is he adding
It's
that?
not bold.
No, it's not
So it's
new.
already there.
It's already
So that's
here.
what I mean. I didn't know if he had anything current.
It's an old reference, it may be current or not, I have no idea.
I just don't know if he's referencing FEMA 2009. I mean, I'm assuming FEMA has other standards since 2009. That's my question. And he might,
May.
so I'll write that one down that he can check, right?
Yeah.
Maybe,
So why don't
maybe
we
he copied it,
Put
but,
that, so.
So have Jay check out reference data for FEMA,
so it was 1101.03,
yeah, 1100.01,
01.
paragraph 3
Paragraph 3.
and it was FEMA 2009.
is the reference date, yeah.
And I didn't have time to go onto the FEMA's website to see. I didn't know why in 1108, it looked like in its annual biennial report, he scratched out 1108 down the bottom. It's almost like the last line of this document. It looked like it wasn't our town report. Was it our town report? It's FEMA's administrator's report. Okay.
It's the federal.
So they're just
emergency
giving it to the administrator. They're not saying a biennial report.
Yeah.
Okay. When I first read it, I'm like, oh, is it in our town report? The town should
But
maintain
this
a record.
1100.01, this is basically, seems to be referencing this flood insurance study.
Right.
For the county of Hillsborough,
And how old is that?
2009.
2009.
Okay. But, you know, as long as, if that's standard for
Which is
everybody.
declared to be part of this ordinance and are hereby incorporated by reference. So,
14 years old on this. Well, some of the stuff said the dating is 1929,
But what's
so I get that.
interesting is that 1100 says that this was adopted in 1975, amended March 13th, 1979, March 1987, amended 1993, and then says amended March 13th, 2007, May 2009, and March 2022.
Well, that's scary.
So,
So one's 22 and one is 2009.
No, that's when it was amended, all those dates.
yeah, the
before it was
amendments.
amended.
Mhm.
Certain
That's true.
sections
So they
were
must
amended.
have added something in 2000.
I just want to make sure he checks dates and they're
Okay,
consistent.
all right.
But nothing wrong, other than I thought, that's a little, looks dated. That's all I had.
All right. Anybody have anything else? Well, I guess we can inquire from Jay about that question, about the 2009 study. We probably want to send this to a second public hearing then, if that's the case, so that Jay can make any changes or take a look at it and provide us with an update. So, you know, I'd recommend a motion be made to, move this to a second public hearing, for January 2nd, 2023.
So moved.
All right, have a second?
Second.
Second by Jeremy, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of, the, approval of second public hearing January 2nd, 2023, on the floodplain conservation district, section 1100. Please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstained, motion passes 500. Thank you. Okay. All right, the next item, site plan application by Rose Medina and Rosina Bouchard Hannon for parking at 442 and 446 Charles Bancroft Highway. Tax map 20, lots 12 and 13. Variance for permitted use was granted for each applicant on 9/18/2023 with a stipulation for parking for 22 days of the Spooky World event. This variance has a rehearing request with the ZBA. So as you recall, the last time these folks were in, they had been scheduled to go before the zoning board. My understanding that Mel's Funway had appealed this use variance that was granted by the zoning board on 9/18/2023. Because it is in an appeal process before the zoning board, there's not much that we can really do until that issue is resolved. Attorney Perlman provided us with his letter of November 1st, 2023. I think I read this, we addressed it last time, that they were seeking to have us continue the hearing. Do we know when they're going back to the zoning?
December 18th, the zoning board will decide if they're going to have a rehearing. And if they have a rehearing, it wouldn't be till January 15th,
Okay, and when do we meet?
16th.
Okay, so I'm recommending tonight that we move to continue this to January 16th, January 16th meeting. That should give such time as the applicants obviously have to go back before the zoning board and deal with the appeal. So I'll entertain a motion to continue this site plan application to January 16th, 2024.
So moved.
Okay, so moved by Jared. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Sam. Any further discussion? All right,
Well-
although,
January 15th is Martin Luther King Day, so I hope the zoning
yeah.
board meets that day.
okay, they're supposed to meet on the 15th?
It's the third Monday they're supposed to meet.
Well, I guess the question is, are they gonna meet?
I don't know.
If it's a holiday.
I don't know that.
Okay, well, it's not, because it's a seasonal thing, I don't think it's necessarily time sensitive, but let's see, if the next meeting, maybe you can just verify, Joan, to make sure that that's when they're gonna be meeting. But right now, we'll move it to the 16th to continue it.
Okay,
That makes sense, okay? If we have to change it or make a change, we will.
okay.
So I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstained, motion passes 500. Thank you. Okay. Next item, number 4 this evening, planning board comment to the ZBA on special exception for wetlands crossing for Telerico Street. I know some of you actually did the site walk for Morrill Street when we went out and visited the site. So this is ZBA, so the applicant is going before the ZBA for a special exception for wetlands. And as in the ZBA is requesting that the planning board comment on the special exception, if there is any comments from the planning board on the special exception. Now, I know that the applicant is going to appear before the Conservation Commission on Thursday, that's my understanding, and the Conservation Commission will have an opportunity to weigh in on this issue. But does the planning board want to weigh in on the issue is the question. And Joan, I don't know if there's anything that you want to add to that.
Well, there's two areas that they're impacting. One is 1,100 square feet of wetland impact for a crossing with the road, and the other is a 3,000 square foot wetland impact crossing for the road.
Okay.
Those are the two that they're coming to the
Okay.
Conservation Commission regarding.
So the planning board could do one of two things. It can make a comment, it can make comments, or it can say, we don't have any comments, and I will just send an email to the chair of the zoning board of adjustment and say that we have voted not to comment on the special exception. or we can make a comment.
Who went on the sidewalk?
I did.
I was there.
I was there.
Can you picture what Joan is saying, the lots?
Yeah, so there's one that's just a little ditch that's like 2 feet deep that we just had to step over. It was dry when we were there, but I'm sure if it had rained recently, it would have some water in it. The second one was interesting because it was a relatively low area, and we didn't see water in certain parts because it was actually underground. But there's a stream that runs from the northern properties through this property and then out to the other parts of the other property, basically. And yeah, any questions about that?
Well, I wasn't there, so, is that where they want to build homes or lots that?
That's
the road.
the road crossings.
Oh, where the road
Yeah,
crosses.
the
Okay,
road that's
gotcha.
gonna cross it, yeah.
So what is this, what is zoning asking for about this road? They just want us to weigh in on what?
Yeah, it's been standard operating procedure that they will ask for comments from the planning board and the conservation commission and, you know, the building inspector and all that. So we're just part of that process. This is something we've done before in they usually request that we submit comments.
Yeah, and due to the shape of the property, that's really their only option. If they had purchased the southern property, they would have been able to have jumped over the first one and not have to jump over a second
Right.
one, but that's not how it is, so I think that's the only realistic way,
That's our only way to get into the property?
the further part of it and the middle of it, because it's 2 crossings. The first one will bring you to a center high spot, which won't really have a lot of them, but it'll have some on the left of the road, and then it will cross again, and then go to a high spot.
So like I said, we don't have to make comment on this. Again, it's going before the Conservation Commission. I'm sure the Conservation Commission will have a discussion about this on Thursday. I'm sure they'll have comments, but it's up to
I
them.
don't have any comments on this.
No comments,
No,
no
nothing.
comments, okay.
Abstain.
All right, so I guess I'll entertain a motion that we have no comments for the ZBA for the special exception for this property.
So moved.
And second?
A second?
Second by Jared. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstained, motion passes 5-0-0. And I will send something to the zoning board that officially announces that we voted on this tonight, so they will have it for their record. Thank you. Okay, committee reports. Any reports from any committees? Jared, I'm sorry, not Jared, Jeremy.
It's okay. Yeah, so I am sitting in on the Economic Development Committee. Our next meeting is this December 28th. We're gonna be having it at the fire station, actually. Hold on a second. Bear with me. Yeah, so at the fire station at 6:30. Currently, we've had some good talks and are working towards developing a questionnaire to go out to the town about plans for development going forward. So, as of right now, we've done some good work so far.
Okay, thank you. Kim, do you have anything?
All right, let's see, capital improvement. You were there last
was.
week,
I was there.
on December 27th, and it was approved by the Board of Selectmen. So the next step we need is to look at the impact fees and the write-up that Jay made to qualify for the impact fees. So we need that to get to the Board of Selectmen next. So they approved the plan, but they haven't approved anything with impact fees yet.
Right.
All right, so that is that. We are not meeting until after, I believe, voting, right? Kim Kleiner,
Oh,
Kim Kleiner
the
mentioned
CIP,
that.
yeah.
The SIP, we don't
Yeah,
meet
the-
until after the
It'll
vote.
probably be until April of,
Yep.
2024. the spring.
Okay, so I think as a planning board, we need to look at the impact fees and get them as finalized as we can. Board of Selectmen, we meet next December 11th, and then December 21st, not Christmas on the 25th. So we're going early on the 21st. And those will be at 6:30 PM at the Town Hall. NRPC, we have our full commissioner meeting on Wednesday, December 20th, 7 PM at Nashua, 30 Temple Street. We will be going over our strategy, mission statement, and vision that we've been working on for a whole year for NRPC to hopefully be the next 7 to 10 years. And I'm going to hold off on the Energy Committee and hand that off to Sam when it's his turn.
Okay, Sam, you're up.
Energy Committee had its second public hearing yesterday on the Litchfield Community Power Plan. It's a plan that will kind of pool towns together to increase their buying power, to reduce electricity prices for the people of Litchfield. I think it's a great plan. We will be voting to approve the plan at our next meeting on December 13th at 6 PM here at Town Hall.
Okay. Conservation Commission meets this Thursday at 7 PM in Town Hall.
No, at the fire station.
Oh, 6:30 at the fire station. Right?
Right.
I always get that screwed up. Yes, 6:30 at the fire station, Conservation Commission. I have not heard anything from the Lower Merrimack Local River Advisory Committee. And as Kim mentioned, we did present to the Board of Selectmen last week over the CIP, myself and Mr. Cutter from the school board, so. Very good. Okay, the approval of the November 21st, 2023 minutes. Did anyone have an opportunity to take a look at those? Have any questions, changes, amendments, anything? Yeah, go ahead.
I just want everybody to read one thing to make sure it's strong enough. If you go down to, because I mentioned it 5 times during the meeting, so I want to make sure that it's that if we go back to this 2 years from now, that it makes sense, everybody. Let me see, I said it was on page 4. Oh, page 4 at the top, where we gave him A through L of approval for conditional approval. So if you look at B, building permits may be issued prior to the receipt of an NHDOT driveway permit, subject to town council review and approval of a waiver of liability. Does that make sense to everybody? Or is that worded
Yes.
strong enough that basically we're saying, if DOT comes back and says, no, you don't get your permit, and they started building, they don't own the town, and sue us, right? Are you reading it that way? It's
It
page
is-
4.
It is a little vague.
Unless we want to word it, do you want to word it a little more precise?
You could say liability to the town.
How did we end it? Town to review for waiver of liability.
Oh, yeah, to the
I
town.
don't know, of the
like
town
that.
or to the town, but
But we're saying permits subject to town council review.
town council review.
But that's a separate.
Yeah, I don't know if that's approval of a waiver of, well, subject to, I want that really strong. This is holding up the
Approval.
whole,
Of a waiver.
I don't think it was an actual waiver, was it?
That's the
Did it
verbiage
be-
we have, that's what verbiage we have in here.
Yeah, but it didn't become an actual waiver that we voted
Well-
on.
No.
They need to
Yeah.
obtain a waiver of liability.
Yeah, they need
The
to,
waiver is the waiver of liability.
the
against
town
the town.
council probably needs to create a waiver, which needs to be agreed by,
Right.
signed by the
Whatever
town.
process
So-
they've done, so let me back up, they've done a process like 2 or 3 times already, whatever process they're doing today, they need to do, I don't know if it was a waiver or not. So that's what I said, he has to talk to the lawyer there. I did, just so you know, with the Board of Selectmen, I asked them, you know, how long are we gonna keep letting this happen? You know, but so far they see it to keep letting this happen, because DOT is still probably back up to probably another month, another year.
Well, I know we did mention that if there are substantial changes made from DOT, that they do need to come back to the board. But yeah, I'm obviously, there would have to be some sort of waiver of liability, a legal document. I don't know if Attorney Hollis has to draft something and give it to town council to review it and make sure that it's proper and that
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
what,
gonna.
I wanted it worded better than.
It should be drafting a hold harmless agreement between the
Well,
towns.
Again, I don't know what they
Like
did
they did with
legally.
the gas station.
Well, the gas
Yes,
station, right,
exactly.
exactly.
Do you want me to have, when Kim gets back?
Yeah.
I don't know what our legal is making them do. I don't know if it's a waiver or a whole,
Well,
whatever.
I have one for the, gas
So whatever
station.
process they did, we gotta make sure, right, that's the same, right? So you want me, so can we maybe, I don't know if we can approve these minutes until, that has to
You
be
want to
solid.
table this then?
I don't, well, I just, unless we come up with words, but again,
We could compare against the gas station one and see how we have that verbiage drafted.
the gas station went first, so I don't know what legal actually did. You know, did they make a
Well, hold
waiver, did they
harmless-
make a hold harmless? I don't know what they actually
We made the same
created.
request, I'm just not sure how it.
Yeah,
finished
so I
out.
wanna make sure we have that there.
I'd like to replace the word approval with acceptance, because you don't really approve a waiver of liability.
right,
So, do we want, maybe, I can have somebody look at that to make sure. I know what we kind of said, I think I told Attorney, Mr. Hollis
Yeah.
to reach out to our attorney like he has in the past
Correct.
and come up with that, to not hold the town liable, right? But I don't remember the word waiver, that's in there, and, yeah. And then if you wanna, you said you just remembered another one about if there was a great changes with DOT, they had to come back as well.
Right, and that's part of the, that was part of the condition. of
Is it in there, A
Yeah,
through
it's
L?
E.
Are you in there? Is it in there, A through L?
E.
Okay, good. All right, so what did you hear? I mean, this is supposedly what I said. Building permits may be issued prior to receipt of New Hampshire Department of Transportation driveway permit, subject to town council review and acceptance, just leave it like that? I don't know, does that work?
Yeah,
Subject to the town council's review and acceptance?
You wanna get rid of a waiver of
I don't know,
liability?
because again, I
well,
don't,
no, I don't think she wants to get rid of it.
no, but
because
Yeah,
I
that's
don't wanna get
review
rid of it.
The
Oop,
town,
I'm losing the power.
town doesn't want the liability, so.
Review and acceptance of a waiver of liability. I think that,
More to waive liability, not, yeah. Maybe I have to go watch the tape. Can we call up the minutes from the prior? But I don't know, again, it has to be what this minute said, that this meeting said.
Yes.
What is the notice of decision? Because the notice of decision went out.
yeah, and I sent him my notice of decision, because he didn't have a lot in here, so it's in the file.
Well, I think I have it in here somewhere.
That is the one thing I don't want a lawsuit for the town.
Well, intent comes into play too, so if you said something wrong, your intent still is the same.
Remember I kept saying it 5 times though? Remember I kept
Oh,
saying
yes.
it? I wanna make sure we're not liable.
Here it is, notice of decision
Okay, good.
revised. What we have is building permits may be issued prior to receipt of NHDOT driveway permit, subject to town council review and approval of a waiver of liability.
No, that's exactly.
that's just what it says here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cut and paste? Is that what it says exactly?
Yep.
And
So
I
we're committed
listened
now,
to
we
the
already
tape.
went out.
I listened to
Okay.
the tape to get that.
If it matches, I'm all right then.
So are we leaving approval or changing to acceptance?
If that's what was said, then we're gonna.
Is it
keep
match 100%?
Yeah, it does.
Then I'm happy.
And we're keeping it.
Okay.
That's the only issue I found. I don't know if anybody
I
else
didn't
had
see
anything.
It's gonna matter.
Just protecting the town.
So, I mean, do you guys wanna make a vote to, accept the minutes, or?
I'll make a motion to approve the
Or
minutes.
motion, I should say.
A second?
Okay, I have a motion by Sam, second by Jared. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approval of the minutes, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstained, motion passes 5-0-0.
So just clarify for Matt Sullivan that nothing changed, is that
Right.
correct?
No, it's good.
Okay.
We've verified what's in the notice of decision, and it's the same thing that's in the.
Okay.
Did they cut, where did that get generated though? Did it get generated from these minutes or did the minute?
No, I
or did-
listened to the
No,
tape,
because Matt
listened to the tape,
watches the,
and I sent him my notice of decision because we didn't have very much in there. or conditions of
So the
approval.
notice of decision was created first, and then Matt put them in there? Because it was a confusing night,
I
we kept
listened-
going back and
I
forth.
listened to the tape.
Yeah.
To get the conditions a couple
Okay.
times, so I could get them all.
I like that direction better than they took Matt's notes and put them into a legal document. Because then, of course, they're in sync, and I'd be nervous.
And
Okay.
we repeated them.
Oh, we did, and we
had to
vote.
pushed them
There were
3 or
so
4
many.
times, I remember that, we kept
Repeated
adding.
them all.
That's why I wanted to make sure.
I knew it would be hard to record it otherwise.
Perfect. Good job, Matt.
Okay. All right, any other business, Joan, do you have anything?
Just for you to sign a bill, that's all.
How did I guess my question is, I know we talked about the budget. How did things work out with that? I know
They
you had a
didn't,
meeting.
they wanna know how much we have left to kick into the remainder of the year. We just got another bill from Jay,
Okay,
so we had about,
so do we know that number?
around 10,000.
Around 10,000? Okay, all right. Anything from the budget committee in terms of what they're looking to, for the planning board? Did they cut anything, or
I haven't heard, no.
they're still voting on that, I assume?
I think they're done with the town side.
Yeah, because I know they're going on to the schools, so I didn't hear anything. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the budget? No? Okay. All right. Anything else?
Next meeting is December 19th.
Okay.
We got an email from Londonderry.
Oh,
November
yeah, that's
13th. I
right.
don't think we ever
Good
discussed that. Regional impacts
Oh, right.
for
Yeah, for a project. Is that the project up on
At the airport.
Pettingill?
Pengill and Roundstone.
Yeah, two big warehouses going up there. New Balance on one side and I forget who's on the other side.
Yeah, so most of this is going to be warehouse. So most of it's, I'm assuming, going to be straight to the highway. There's maybe a few trucks that will go down 3A to go through certain areas south of us. Do we have any comments, I guess?
Unless the board does, I don't.
No.
I have no problem with it at all. There's little impact to us directly, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't see much impact.
All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will offer up a motion to adjourn.
Okay, do I have a second? Second by Sam. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstained, motion passes 5-0-0. Thank you for joining us this evening, and we will see you on December 19th. Have a good evening.